Grand Rising Loves. This is the altar spread for the collective today. Spirit keeps telling me to show you how I shuffle so you know how phenomenal it is when certain cards show up over and over again like these. So I will probably do that at some point. So the sacred geometry that showed up is Leonardo's Vitruvius Man. Now, that is the only art in the deck that is not created by the creator. That, of course, is very ancient. Now, supposedly in this image is embedded every sacred geometry and the secrets of spirituality in the human experience. So what I suggest, you can do like a screenshot. How can I hold this where you could see it there? And really just meditate on that and see what comes up. See what you get in that image or the feels that you get from that image. But the message of the card is there's perfection at every level, because sacred geometry, our very foundation of our physical self, is perfection. So on a cellular level, we are perfect. You can find that sacred geometry. But then also at our spiritual level, the vibration of us is perfection. But it's saying do not get caught up in ideals created by the ego of perfection. Meaning, are you looking for that perfect mate, that perfect job, that perfect house, that perfect vacation, and you are constantly being let down? Because expectation is of your ego and of the world, that you're missing everything that is perfect because of these constructs that the ego thinks is perfect. And so I can bet that everyone now is like jaw-dropping, because I've even been stuck in that loop. You know, I remember decades ago, especially through my 20s, that I was still in that very old paradigm and of expectation and driving myself. And that's when I was putting myself through school and medicine, and nothing felt right. It was like me trying to put myself into a box, and everything felt excruciating. And so that's what that card brings to you. Look for what actually is perfect, because everything is perfect. The ego is what judges something as not perfect. And so what programming do you have? What is your ideal? What is your ideal? So, example, I have a very deep soul memory of the deepest kind of love. And Sherry has never experienced that. So I tend to be very nitpicky when it comes to love, especially. And there's a certain feel that I search for because my soul remembers it and it feels like home and it just feels aligned. And so I've been gifted miraculous moments where I feel glimpses of that. But the males are not conscious enough to uphold that for any length of time. And so it's not the stamina, like I'm not talking about sexuality, though some of them lacked in that area, if I'm being honest. But I'm talking about the stamina of spirit. And it's just wild. People check out way too much. And I know that to find someone that stays present like myself is going to be a challenge. So I love everyone that shows up, including you all. I love you all. So Council showed up. This is interesting. Council showed up for me yesterday. It showed up upright. So it was telling me to pay attention to Council because they have a very specific message today. But for the collective, it showed up in reverse. So it's basically teaching you who the council is and to listen. So who the council is. The council is ascended masters, your angels, your spirit guides. It is who helps you when you are designing your human life. And it is also who does the decompressing when you go back into spirit. So they do the life review. Did you learn this? Because remember you said you were going to do this when you went into the human experience. And, so they actually are very accessible to you through your life. So everyone comes in with spirit guides. Spirit guides are who you are birthed with, okay? They are assigned to just you. So they may or may not have ever been human before, but they are making the decision to be assigned to you, just you in your human life. So you already have those. Angels they could be people that you have known in a past life. They could be people that you've known in this life that have passed on. They could be very specific angels that are necessary to assist you through certain trials that you already had planned ahead were going to be very difficult for you, and then they're accessible to you. Ascended masters are people who have reached a certain level of ascension. It's the 5th plane or higher, and they can decide to not come back as human, to reside on one of those higher planes, 5, 6, or 7, and be accessible. So like Jesus is on the 7th plane. So ascended masters are very much accessible to you. And the cool thing about ascended masters is that they can be everywhere at one time. So there is no limit to their accessibility. So one person in Africa can call upon Jesus and someone in San Francisco can. And there's neither of those connections is diminished because they're happening simultaneously. So that's the council. Now, in the reverse, it's telling you need to create a sacred space so that you can quiet yourself and first counsel with yourself to call in the council. Because if you don't know how to listen to your own higher self, it's going to be hard for you to filter anything that's actually coming from that higher frequency vibration from those upper realms. So doing that, it does become a practice, raising your own vibration to accept those things. And so usually the first part of awakening is noticing synchronicities, and they're trying to draw you in to say, we can make this so much easier for you. We're leaving you breadcrumbs. That's what synchronicities are. It's like the breadcrumbs back to you. And so counsel is telling you, sit and connect with us. And if there's something that you're unclear about, ask, because that's what we're here for. So you're never alone. You're never alone. Chrysocolla showed up again. This is cray. So I really read into it to see, okay, what am I missing maybe that I can share? Or are people really still not speaking their hearts? Like, come on, people. You're just holding others captive and yourself. It's self-betrayal if you're not speaking your heart. So what Chrysocolla says is basically everything that comes through your voice is vibration. So even is an invocation into your reality. So if two lovers are together and one goes, they immediately interpret that as satisfaction, pleasure. So that's the invocation, everything that you do. But when you are in the space of being completely present and completely heart-centered, your intent infuses the voice with that heart energy. And so that's what Chrysacola says, bring your voice through the heart. So this is not speaking the ego. This is not saying, I want, you did this. This is not a judgment. So remember, ego is what feels the need to defend itself. It's also what feels the need to judge. So I am better than or less than. That's all ego. When you speak from the heart, it says, I feel. The dialogue shifts. It's not I think anymore. It's I feel. So try to shift those words and see if it's still true what you're saying. Like if you say, I think that this is no longer working for me. I feel that this is no longer working for me. Your spirit recognizes truth and will actually start to do this vibration happy dance inside your earth suit. So it's very easy to discern real truth from your higher self truth. Because the programming, it'll get you in the gut. It'll feel just like ick. It'll feel heavy. And that's the captivity I'm talking about. You are holding yourself and others captive when you are propelling yourself through the human experience through ego. And so there's a lot of spiritual teachers that say, integrate the ego. We need to use our ego. Nah, that's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. There is no use for it. They're confusing ego with intellect. There is a use for intellect. Intellect is the colander for which divine energy comes through, and then it sounds like you, like what I do. I'm not thinking before I speak it, but it comes through that filter, so you know, oh, that's Sherry. So no, there's no benefit to ego. I have this conversation with very, very spiritual people, and I can talk about that all day long. And just like free will, bring it. We will talk all fucking day on that one subject. And I love it. I love it because we can go around and around and around. But there are some, like, I will tell you because I honor him so much, Augie, and this is the host of the radio show that I've been on multiple times. He believes that the ego is what actually motivates us to do things, because he said the iPhone wouldn't exist without ego, right? And so he said, so there actually is a benefit to ego. And my thing is communication existed without ego. And so the price of the iPhone is ego, but the communication part is not. So I don't believe that inventors, those visionaries, work from a place of ego. I believe that they invent from a place that is completely divine, and then it's bastardized when it's created. Because greed, that ego part, is what says, oh, we can charge this. That's why when people are inventing things, you're not getting that shit for free. That's all I'm saying. So that's my opinion. And bring it. I would love to have this conversation if anybody wants to dig in with it. But this is Chrysacola. I've shared this so many times, and I have them around the altar. You see I have a few raw pieces out. But isn't it pretty? So pretty. And Amaru showed up again, the beautiful place. So this, I like this because these tie in together, right? Because this has shown up before, but not with this. But this, I believe, is why they showed up together, because that perfect place that exists, is it perfect from the construct of the ego, or is it perfect from the construct of the spirit? And so the spirit, remember, is beyond measure, is limitless, but the ego is very limited. It is a limited database because it only knows that which it has been told and taught and witnessed. It is very limited. But the spirit, because the spirit is infinite, you are an infinite divine being, all possibility is infinite. So when you create constructs, you limit yourself. So this is saying you can have all of those beautiful things that you imagine, but you have to surrender to it. So drop the expectation and surrender to your heart. Thank you. Deep collective breath together. Release with an audible sigh. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.